Hi, this is The Business Guy. So how do you get rich? How do you achieve financial independence, financial freedom? I became a millionaire at a young age, so I'm going to first give you the formula, then I'm going to give you the 2 rules, and I want you to write it down and make a very simple checklist. Here's number 1. It's the formula for getting rich. It also explains why you're in your present position, whether you're earning $16,000, $60,000, $600,000, or $6 million. It applies to every adult, whether he or she is employed or unemployed. It applies to the richest person and to the poorest person and every person in between. But first, let me preface the rule and give you the rich man's secret. Most fundamentals to financial success are simple. They're easy and they're easy to understand. So don't send somebody $9.95 with a coupon code. You'll be wasting your money. So here's the rule to getting rich. Our rewards in life will always be an exact proportion to our contribution, our service. That's what the formula is. It's the first item on your checklist. Memorize this. Our rewards in life will always be an exact proportion to our contribution, our service. Listen to it. Think about it until you know it emotionally. It might give you some slight feeling of superiority to realize there's probably not another man or woman within a mile of where you live who knows it. You can add it as a question on a survey if you want proof of that. If you want the rule in another form, here it is as it applies to a man or woman's job. It's the same thing, really. The same thing, but you can express it differently. Here's the same rule stated in a different way. The money you're paid by the company you work for will always be in direct ratio to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the degree of difficulty involved in replacing you. Maybe you want to write this formula down in both of those forms and think about it until it's just as much a part of yourself as is your name. The reason that it's spelled out on your checklist is because you might not want everybody to know what you're up to. The checklist is valuable only to a person who knows what the words really indicate. All right, you've got the formula, and as you think about it, its meaning will become clearer to you. With the formula, there are 2 rules which must be applied to properly use it. This formula, together with the 2 rules, is your recipe or your roadmap to earning all the money you really want. Okay, now let's take a look at item number 2 on your checklist. And I'm serious about you putting a checklist on your mirror. And I remember too the gold mine, the Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright Archibald MacLeish's play, The Secret of Freedom Road. The only thing about a man that is a man is his mind. Everything else you can find in a pig or a horse. Strong words, aren't they? But as long as you live, you'll never hear a truer statement. The key to every human being's success lies in his mind, the gold mine between his ears. One idea can make you rich. A lot of good ideas can move you steadily upward in the work that you do. And ideas are free, you just think. There's nothing now being done commercially that will not be done much better in the years ahead. Next year's homes and most of what's in them will be better than this year. Next year's cars will be better. Next year's manufacturing, distribution, marketing and selling and advertising should be better. Nothing now is being done as well as it must be done in the future. And every innovation, every new improvement will be somebody's brainchild. Now what's your specialty? How many good ideas have you come up with during the past year? If you continue as you have in the past, where will you be? And what will you be earning in a year from now, 5 years from now? Every day of our lives, we walk or drive by more opportunity than we could develop in a lifetime or 50 lifetimes. Back in the 20s, Sinclair Lewis wrote it. You can kidnap a man, blindfold him, take him to any city in the country with a couple of notable exceptions, put him in a chair in a downtown area, take off his blindfold, and he could sit a week and not be able to tell you what town he's in. And it's very similar on a worldwide basis. I just got back from Athens, Greece a couple of weeks ago. In the shopping district, there's Hermes, H&M, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Rolex. I went to London, same story. I went to Paris, New York, Toronto, Sydney, LA, Miami. The streets are all alike. The buildings are all alike. The businesses all looked alike. And this is still largely true today. The reason for this being that most businessmen in the world are playing a game called follow the follower. If a man goes into business, no matter what line it happens to be in, the first thing he does is make certain that his place of business, outside and inside, looks exactly like every other place of business of that type in the country. You know why? It's because he's been playing copycat since he was a year old and does it without even thinking about it. For the same reason, kids dress alike in school. He or she wants to be one of the gang. He or she doesn't necessarily examine all of the business establishments in his or her field and pattern his on the one outstanding example, the one that inspires and the one that he can really believe in. He just does what everybody else in his business is doing, and by this simple process, he guarantees his own mediocrity. Whose drum are you marching to, if indeed you're marching to anyone's, and why? Remember, whatever you do now for a living will be done differently, quite differently, a few years from now. Never in the history of mankind have the opportunities for all of us been so great. But the great majority of people will be the beneficiaries of progress, not those who bring it about. Which group are you going to belong to? If you want to be a contributor, not just a beneficiary, here is the first rule. It appears on your checklist as the gold mine. So think deliberately with purpose. Use the gold mine between your ears. Begin by thinking of a special time every day. Back during the Great Depression, a New York lumber dealer was growing rich while other lumber dealers were going broke. When asked how he did it, he said, "Every evening when I get home, I close myself up in a quiet room, I sit in a comfortable chair, and I ask myself, how will my business be conducted in 10 years from now? And then I try to do that now." Instead of competing with every other lumber dealer, which is what they were doing, he was doing the very thing man was designed to do, the very thing man does best. A company growing at the rate of 10% a year will double its size in less than 8 years. But a man can improve his effectiveness 50% or 100% in a year or more. The experts tell that every one of us has deep within us reservoirs of ability, even genius, that he habitually fails to use. Well, let's begin now to reach into those deep areas of pure net profit and use more and more of our real abilities. Just think, here's the best way I have found to make yourself think. Start getting up a little earlier than you're accustomed to. I get up at 5 a.m. every morning, right out of bed. This gives you extra time that 95% of the men and women in this country are not using at all. 1 hour earlier a day gives you 6.5 extra 4-hour weeks in a year. But at this time in the morning, take a refreshing shower, get dressed, get yourself refreshed, hot cup of coffee if you're a coffee man, do a little exercise, and sit down to a clean sheet of paper. On top of that paper, write down your financial goal. Now, this is the amount of money per year you intend to earn soon. Incidentally, you might like to keep this to yourself too. It's nobody's business but yours. And then start to think. Think about your goal and what it will mean to you and your family. See how many ideas you can come up with to help reach your goal. Ideas to improve what you do now for a living. Ways of increasing your contribution to match your income goal. You know, jobs don't have futures, people do. No matter what line of work you're in, there is within it more than enough opportunities to last a lifetime. You don't have to think of a brand new idea or revolutionary new ways of doing things, although you might well come up with some. Think of ways of improving what you do now. If you are to increase your income by the amount you specified, you must find ways to increase your contribution, your service. And the key to this is to be found in your mind, in that gold mine between your ears. Try for 5 ideas every morning and write them down and stay with those sheets of paper in a special idea file. Many, perhaps most of your ideas will be worthless, but some of them will be very good. A few will be excellent, and once in a while, you'll come up with something really outstanding. You see, 5 ideas in a day is 25 in a week if you don't think on weekends. Now that's more than 1,000 ideas a year. And just one idea can get you that income you're shooting for. The law of averages rings so far in your favor you just can't miss. Try to develop a sense of expectancy. That is, trying to hold the feeling that the goal you're shooting for is a sure thing, and it is only a matter of time before it's realized. You know, Henry Ford didn't start making cars until he's 45. Colonel Sanders started KFC at age 65 and now has annual revenues of $2.79 billion as of this video. It's almost never too late. Try to think of things outside of your own line of work or whatever it is that you're most interested in. To think well and profitably, you must discipline your thinking. Keep it on course, controlled. Keep it in the field in which you specialize. Now for the final item on your checklist. It appears as a word, and the word is attitude. Attitude has been called the most important word in the language. William James put it this way. He said, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind." Now that is something to think about. You can alter your life by altering your attitude of mind. And it's another way of saying we become what we think about. Look at it this way. Your total environment, if you've been an adult for any appreciable period of time, your total environment is a reflection of you as a person. The house and the neighborhood in which you live, the car you drive, the clothes you wear, the job you do, the people with whom you associate regularly. Your total environment is an exact and merciless mirror of you as a human being. Now, if you clear your environment, you stand some improvement. You have only to improve your attitude and your world will gradually change to reflect the changing person that you're becoming. Now, here's how you change your attitude, beginning now, beginning to act as would the person you most want to become. That's it. If you were already in possession of the goal you're shooting for, how would you conduct yourself in all of your affairs? Well, do it now and tomorrow and the next day. Begin to act the part of the person you would most want to become, and you will end up becoming that person. Subtly, in little ways, in the way you dress, in the way you talk, and the unfailing courtesy you show to every person with whom you come in contact, begin to act the part of the person who has already achieved that which you're shooting for. The German philosopher Goethe gave us a secret when he said, before you can do something, you must first be something. When you behave like the person you most want to become, the things that person would have will tend to come to you as well. It's simply cause and effect. Don't be in too big of a hurry. It takes longer to build a skyscraper than a chicken coop. Build slowly, steadily, and well. And then when you make it, you'll keep it. You will stay on top, so always be suspicious of the so-called get-rich-quick scheme or sudden success. Never forget that word, attitude. It's your attitude toward the people with whom you come in contact that will determine their attitude toward you. The person with a great attitude toward life and the world is the person other people call lucky. He's not lucky. He's just using old friend cause and effect. His causes are excellent and his effects have to be just as good. Well, that's it. 3 things to remember, 3 things to practice every day. If you spend 16 hours a day, 7 days a week practicing your golf swing, in a relatively short period of time, you'll grow a beautiful swing like the pros. So practice your new attitude every day, every waking hour. Practice thinking a few minutes every morning, and you'll find yourself thinking all day long. Remember the formula. Our rewards in life will always be an exact proportion to your contribution, to your service. Go with the ideas in this message every day until it is as much a part of you as your name and your temporary address. You will notice that each time you listen, you'll hear something new. You'll get a new idea you failed to get before. Please click like, subscribe, and share this video with others. See you next time. This is The Business Guy.